Welcome to this tutorial on how to complete and submit the Employer Reconciliation EMP501 on SARS eFiling. If you aren't already an e-filer, go to www.sars.gov.za, click Register and follow the process. For further assistance with e-filing registration, refer to the How to Register for e-filing and Manage Your User Profile guide available on the SARS website. Once registered, log into eFiling using your username and password. You will land on the dashboard. If the applicable organization portfolio is not set as default, you will need to open it. Click My Profile on the left and then on Portfolio Management. Click Go to Portfolio once you have selected the applicable portfolio. You can use the search function to look for a specific taxpayer using one of the following: company name, registration number, tax reference number. Once you have found that taxpayer, click View Taxpayer. Please note that submissions of the employee tax certificates are for the interim reconciliation, i.e. period 08, March to August, and the annual reconciliation, i.e. period 02, March to February. To access your returns, click Returns on the top menu, then Returns Issued on the left side menu. Next, click on Employees Tax, EMP501. This will take you to the Return search page. Select the applicable period and click Request Return. This will immediately display a return for the period requested on the Return search screen. Click the Open link. Note: if you have selected a final reconciliation before the end of the filing period, this is an exception process and should not be used other than liquidation, winding up the company, insolvency, estate cases, dormant. The following screen will display, and you will be required to confirm that you wish to continue and provide a reason why you're submitting the reconciliation before the end of the filing period. This will issue the return on the EMP501 work page. To open the return, click on the EMP501 link. You will now be able to complete the tax certificates once the EMP501 is opened. Before completing the EMP501 for interim and annual submissions, the IRP5 IT3A certificates must be completed first. The IRP5 IT3A certificates should reflect the income, deductions, and tax as calculated at this point. You must provide copies of the final IRP5 IT3A certificates to employees after submitting the annual reconciliation for period 02. Please retain copies for your own records as well. To add an IRP5 IT3A certificate, click on the My Tax Certificates tab and then click Add. It is important to note that on e-filing, employers can only file a reconciliation that contains a maximum of 50 IRP5 IT3A certificates, tax certificates. Complete all the mandatory fields. Note: the certificate number is a unique 30-digit number allocated to each specific IRP5 IT3A certificate issued by the employer. The certificate number comprises the following: the first 10 digits equals PAYE reference number, or alternatively, the income tax reference number if only non-taxable employees are employed and the employer is not registered for PAYE. The next 4 digits equal transaction year. The next 2 digits equals last 2 digits of period of reconciliation, 08 or 02. The next 14 digits can contain any unique combination of alpha and numeric characters. Now complete the applicable details for the employee, starting with the employee information. The employee address details, consisting of the residential address and the postal address, and then the bank account details. Ensure that you complete all mandatory fields. The PAYE reference number, SDL reference number, UIF reference number, and trading or other name will be pre-populated. Complete the employee physical work address. This is the employee's place of work. Complete the tax certificate information, starting with capturing the pay period's information. ETI employment date is the initial date of employment or the date employed by an associate employer as defined by the ETI Act. Certificate tax period start date, refers to the first date of the employee's tax period in the relevant year of assessment. Certificate tax period end date refers to the last date of the employee's tax period in the relevant year of assessment. Periods in year of assessment. The periods are determined according to the pay intervals at which the employer pays employees. Number of periods worked refers to the number of pay periods for which the employee worked during the relevant tax year. Voluntary over-deduction. This field indicates if the employee requested over-deduction of PAYE. Fixed rate taxation indicator. This field indicates if the employee's tax was calculated at a fixed rate because of non-standard employment. Note: if the employee's tax calculation is changed from a fixed rate to the tables and vice versa, a separate certificate must be submitted. Complete the directive numbers issued by SARS. Directive numbers must correspond to the directives issued, and 9999999 and 000000 numbers are not allowed. Note: ensure that the directive number, the source code, and the amount relating to the directive captured on the certificate are the same as on the directive. Should the information be incorrect, the individual or employee will not be able to submit their income tax return, ITR 12. When completing the financial information section. Income received. Insert the amounts, rands only, and sources codes applicable to all remuneration paid or payable by the employer to the employee. Non-taxable income, 3696. This field will be auto-calculated on the form and is the sum of all the non-taxable income source code amounts. Gross employment income, taxable, 3699. This field will be auto-calculated and is the sum of all the income source code amounts not included in 3696 above and is only applicable from the 2017 year of assessment. Note: for years of assessment prior to 2017, the following fields will need to be completed. Gross retirement funding income, 3697, is the sum of all the income retirement funding income amounts. Gross non-retirement funding income, 3698. The sum of all the non-retirement funding income amounts. The gross employment income taxable 3699 field will be auto-calculated and is the sum of all the income source code amounts not included in 3696 above. Insert the amounts, rands only, and the sources codes applicable to all amounts deducted, including employer information codes. For example, codes starting with 44. Note that you must use rand and cents when completing the fields under this section. Complete all the mandatory fields. For more information on the source codes and descriptions, refer to the latest Business Requirement Specifications for PAYE Employer Reconciliation available on the SARS website. You can now complete the declaration by clicking on the My Reconciliation Declaration tab. The EMP501 form is pre-populated with the applicable reference numbers for PAYE, SDL, and/or URF and the trading name. Complete all mandatory information, starting with the Diplomatic Indemnity Indicator field that is optional for years prior to 2020 and mandatory from 2020 going forward. If applicable, declare the amounts for the Employment Tax Incentive, ETI. Note: if you declared the ETI on the EMP501, the ETI amount will be pre-populated. If no ETI is pre-populated, ETI was either not declared or was subsequently reversed via either the EMP501 or EMP501 process. ETI cannot be added or increased on the EMP501. For further information on the Employment Tax Incentive, ETI, refer to the Guide for Employers in respect of Employment Tax Incentive available on the SARS website. Declare the amounts on the financial particulars. Due to COVID-19 tax relief, the SDL liability field will be defaulted to 0 and locked for the months of May, June, July, and August 2020 to make provision for the SDL payment holiday. This will be a once-off incentive and will not continue in the future. Once you have completed both the EMP501 declaration and all the IRP5 IT3A certificates, you may use the Save option to save your return if you wish to edit or submit it later. Alternatively, you may submit your return by clicking Submit Form. Note: if a mandatory field was not completed, you will get a pop-up message notifying you to complete the field. Complete the mandatory fields and click Submit Form. Carefully read the declaration and then click Agree. Your return will be submitted. Now click Continue. This will take you to the EMP501 work page. The status of your return will now be displayed as filed through eFiling. Congratulations! You have successfully completed and submitted your EMP501 declaration on SARS eFiling.